Hi there and welcome to ORICtober, a celebration of Oric computers from the 1980s in October 2021. So I've done a few videos about the Oric's capabilities and shown a few of those with some simple basic statements, as well as reviewed a few games or previewed a few games from back in the day. What I thought I'd do today is maybe show a program and explain it so you get a sense of how one can do things using the Oric. And earlier this year in 2021, there was an ASCII 10-line basic programming challenge which I entered. And the idea of the challenge was that you will try to write a computer game or a program of some use that can't be longer than 10 standard lines of basic, standard for your platform. I think it was 72 character limit as well. And it was called ASCII 10-line competition because you could only use the built-in character set available to the Oric or to your platform. So I entered and I didn't win, but what I thought I would do is at least use this program as an example of programming in the Oric. So I've got the computer, the Oric, ready to load, and what I've done here is I've actually as before, I've got my Oric with the standard Atmos ROM, which is version 1.1, and here I'm ready to play Windows Media through my laptop, which is basically the program that I've created. So if I start, let me start this, if I steady my camera, and then let's load this program. So there you go. I didn't need to pause the video this time because, as you can see, it loaded very fast and it doesn't really go on very long. It was 10 lines after all. Now, before I actually go through the program, thought it would be cool to maybe run it and then you can see what it is, and then we can talk about what each bit of the program does from what you saw on the screen. So let's run it. So this is basically the classic blitz or bomber game, and you can hear the engine droning of a plane that's running out of fuel. It's getting lower and lower, and what you have to do is try and flatten this derelict cityscape beneath you to pave the way for you to be able to land safely on the green strip, which is there at the bottom. And for every building, part of the building that you manage to hit, you'll get a few points. And if you get to the end, which I don't think I will, what will happen is that the building, you'll start again with on the next level where the buildings are slightly higher. So that's the idea of the game, and I've got a feeling that I'm going to die. So I scored 545 points. I'm on level 1. This game is pretty hard actually, so maybe that might be one of the reasons I didn't necessarily achieve a great finish on the competition, but it was still fun. It's too hard. But anyway, so now let's list the game so you can see in its entirety. It's not very long. 0 to 9 are the line numbers. No line on here is greater than 2 screen lines long, and that's one of the restrictions. So let's get to it. So line 0, first thing it does is ink 6, and ink 6 just sets the foreground color to cyan, which is what it is now. G equals 5, I can't actually remember what that is yet, and I'm sure it'll come back to me as we talk you through the program. I'm literally doing this in real time and remembering how it works. The next statement on line 0 is a repeat statement, which means somewhere there'll be an until that will come back to the very next statement after repeat, and that is CLS, clear the screen. And it's obviously going to a subroutine here, goes to 9, and then also goes to 7. So let's look at 9 first. So on 9, and I'm just going to start there, paper 4 sets the screen to blue, the background color to blue. BT 20 equals 25. That I think is probably where the bottom of the game area is. So it's on row 25. And then from 0 to row 26, so 4a equals 0 to 26, I'm plotting at position 2a, the value 9. Now I had to remember what the value 9 means. So if I plot or poke the value 9 to each of these screen positions, as I mentioned about attributes in the previous video, any number below 32 is interpreted by the video display as an instruction to apply some kind of effect. And the instruction here is to apply the standard height, steady, but alternate character set. And if you saw, if you remember back to the game, you'll see that the plane was some block graphic representation of a plane, and the buildings, you know, kind of had little block graphics as well. Not normal ASCII characters. However, the rule of the competition was you could use any built-in standard font or character set. And the Oric has a standard character set and an alternate character set. But to get to the alternate character set, you have to set this attribute value to 9. So at position 2, column 2, from row 0 to 26, I'm setting the attribute 9. So that's what that does. And next, obviously, just completes that loop. Then at 0, 26, and I'm setting the value 18. Now 18, I know this one is a 16 plus 2. So 16 means foreground color and the 2 means green. So it sets a green foreground color, which if you remember in the game, at position 26, there was a green strip. And then also in column 1 on row 26, I'm setting the attribute 2, which is actually green foreground color. So I'm setting the background color to green and the foreground color to green, which means if anything ends up on that row, any normal graphic, it actually will be invisible. And that's so that when the plane actually lands, the game starts at the new level, but you don't see the plane because it's the game is over, or at least the level is over, ready for the next level. So it returns and it goes, as you saw earlier, to line 7. So on 7, I'm plotting at position 2 row 0 LV plus the string representation of G minus 4. So G minus 4, when G was 5, it means it was 1. So now I remember what G is. It's the level that you're on. So G represents something to do with what level are you on. Then I'm appending some spaces and then the score, SC colon, plus the string representation of SC, which is the score variable. I'm initializing BX, which is the bomb's X position, to 0, and that means there is no bomb on the screen. So as you saw, as the plane's firing along, when I press the spacebar, a bomb starts to fall, and it's BX that contains the coordinates of the X coordinates of that bomb. And then I'm setting a string called P $. P string is CHR1, which is basically just means character code 1, which is red, plus this I/T, and this is the representation of the plane in the alternate character set. In the alternate character set, there are some block graphics which I looked up, and I found that I/T made this kind of semblance of a plane. And then I set some variable B to 185. Now 185 is what I'm using for the skyscraper. That's the character code for skyscraper. And the reason why it looks odd is that it's the inverse character set that I'm using, or the inverse code. Because 185, if I take off 128, so take off the top bit, I actually have the value 57. So the character code 57 is being plotted, but in inverse colors. And what the Oric display does is that when it sees an inverse character to be plotted, so the top bit means inverse, what it does is inverts the colors that it would have normally displayed. And normally it would have been displaying blue as the background colour, which is colour 4, and cyan as the foreground colour, which is colour 6. But when you invert those, you actually get yellow, which is colour 2, and which is actually 8 minus. So 8 minus 6, the cyan, gives you yellow, and then 4, which is 8 minus 4 gives you 4. That's not right, is it? It actually gives you yellow. Yellow and in fact, let's just run it and just see what were the colours. Oh yeah, yellow and red. So let's go back to there. So I'm not going to restart this video. I'm rambling a bit, I know, but that's what B is essentially. I'm getting red, which is that's right. It's 7. It's 7 minus 6, which is the cyan colour. So that gives me 7 minus 6 gives me 1, which is red, and then 7 minus 4 is 3, which gives me yellow. So that's the way that an inverse character gets interpreted by the ULA. And it's actually one handy way to get over a little bit of the attribute constraint, where you have to have an attribute before to change the color or whatever, and then the actual graphic display. So then what's happening on line 8 of this same subroutine? It goes from 6 to 33. Now that is basically each column of building that I'm going to plot. And then Q goes from 26 to some random value that's a function of G, which is the level, times 2. So that's the height of the building, down to row 26, which I should have. Yeah, so row 26 is at the level of the green strip, basically. And then I plot P at PQB. So plotting for each column 6 to 33, the height of the building, and that's all that does. It basically draws the landscape. So now I'm back to line 0, and I'm already on 12 minutes. So I'm thinking this is taking too long. So let me read really fast. Then I play. I set the play command, which is the Oric sound command, to basically enable 2 sound channels, of which one of them is mixed with noise, and the 1,1 really just allows me to just some default values. And then I set up the plane's y coordinate, and it starts from row 4 and continues hopefully all the way to the bottom. And on each row it starts from column 3 all the way through to 36. And then on line 1 I've got W equals 4. Now the W I use for how long to wait between each movement of the plane or the bomb, and I will change W to be a smaller number if, for example, there's both a bomb and the dropping as well as the planes animating, because then things take a bit longer. So to try and keep the game speed consistent regardless of how many objects on the screen, I wait for a different amount of time at the end of each loop. I find out what is on the screen in front of the plane, which is x plus 3, and then anyway I plot the plane, which is $P we saw earlier, and then if what was in front of the screen is equal to B, I thought that was BT, but this is the thing about BASIC, isn't it? It can be confusing. If it's equal to B, which is 185, that means if you hit a building, then it explode. Explode is great. It's the code or the command to make the big explosion sound, and then set the foreground color to white. Wait for 500th of a second, and then set the background color to black and end. So that's basically the game over happens there. On line 2, it detects if a key has been pressed, and if a key is not empty string, so a key has been pressed, and BX is 0, which means and there is no bomb on the screen, and Y is less than the bottom, so you still got some possibility of, you're not at the bottom yet, so there's some possible building to destroy. Then it sets the x coordinate to the the planes, the bomb's x coordinate to the plane's x coordinate plus 2, and the bomb's y coordinate to the plane's y coordinate, and then I set the variable old oy to 1 the next row down, and there, as you can see, I'm overwriting w to make it a 2, which helps to keep the game speed regular. And then I do this play command here. Essentially, does the little ping effect when the bomb is initially dropped. Then I'm saying if the bx is not 0, which means there must be a bomb on the screen, then let's drop it down by 1 row. Let's check with h equals screen coordinate, what's at the screen coordinates of bx and by, put it to h. Let's erase the current position of the bomb, so I'm putting 32 there, or sorry, where the bomb's going to, I'm going to put 32, which is a space. So I'm erasing what the bomb's over, or what it will be over, and then oy is equal to by, so that just two coordinates that really hold the bomb's y coordinate. And then if the y coordinate is greater than the bottom, so if you hit the bottom, then just set x to 0, which means the bomb's x to 0, which means that another bomb will be available to drop, basically. And then on line 4, what I'm doing is on channel 2. So earlier, what I showed you was on channel 1. I was playing a sound when you drop a bomb, but on channel 2, I'm basically, this formula here is basically setting the frequency of channel 2 to something that is proportional to how high up the plane is. As the plane gets lower and lower and lower, the sound of the droning of the plane gets lower in pitch, and that's volume 10 it's set at. So if the bomb x coordinate is not 0, so the bomb is active on the screen, then at its current coordinate I plot value 63, and that is again the little block graphic to represent a bomb. We're nearly at the end, and I'm sorry about the video taking nearly 20 minutes. It's awful, isn't it? So line 5, if h, which is what the bomb was over before we plotted it, is equal to b, which is the building value of hitting a building, then I set the weight to only 1 because I'm going to do a few things. And what I'm doing is I'm playing on channel 2 a short sound effect, which is 150 is the duration of that sound effect. And while that sound is playing, I'm adding G to the score. So we know that what G is part of the level that you're on, but also you get more points the higher the level that you're on. So initially G is 5, so you get 5 points each block that you hit. And then I'm updating at position 12 the value of the score. Then on line 6, this is the last line, we're waiting W amounts of hundredths of a second. So 50 hundredths of a second earlier we were waiting when we did the explode. Here we're waiting either 1, 2 or 4, I think, is the value of W that it could be. And as I said, that's just to even up the game speed. So if there's only the plane moving, then it doesn't start moving faster than when the plane and the bomb is also on the screen. And then wait W then next, and all that next is this the plane going from position 3 to 36. And once the position has got to position 36, I'm erasing the plane from the screen, XY coordinate, and this next is the plane's Y coordinate as a for loop going from 4 to BT. So on line 0 you can see the 2 for loops that these next match with. And if those 2 next loops get to finish, it means you must have got to the very bottom of the screen and the very right of the screen. So we then set the paper to 3 to yellow. This is something I don't see very often on this game because it's so hard. I make the sound effect zap twice, and then I set the full background colour back to 4, which is blue. I add 1 to the level, and then I've got this until 0. Until 0 means it will never finish, so we'll go back to the start of the repeat, which is where the CLS is on line 0, and so the game continues over again. So there we go. Wow, it's 20 minutes is so my webcam recorder is saying. I really hope you watched at least some of this and got to see how the Oric does a 10-line basic game. Let me run it one more time and see if I can do a little bit better. But thank you so much for watching if you got this far to the end. And I'm really bad at this, aren't I? But the trick is to try and, oh man, the trick is to try and get those highest buildings as soon as possible. Well, I think that's the trick. I don't know. I'm no expert at this game, as you can very well see. But it should be possible to get to the zap. So you can see how the plane is, you know, like going, that for loop is going from X to 3 to 36 on the X coordinate. And then the Y coordinate is going from, I think it was 4 to wherever the bottom is, which is this green strip, which is 20, 25, I think. And it's actually, I think I might actually have a chance of this one if I can get, oh man, if I can get these high ones. Oh, no. Losing the plot. Oh, that's it. So close. And good night.